I still want to be able to sue the Bee Gees. Got into this yesterday. How is this song still stuck in my head? How deep is your love? Why did I do that, Lubie? Why? Why me? Everything was going fine. I was having a good day. I was winning at the track. Things seemed to be picking up from a business standpoint. I was very encouraged about where we were at. We have this thing going with the Five Reasons Sports Network. We got the Defo show, plenty of activity, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And then all of a sudden, I tune into the last few minutes of Saturday Night Fever just to remind myself what it was I liked about that movie originally. And the answer years later is nothing. We realized John Travolta could dance. Barry Gibb's the only surviving Bee Gee. The other three brothers, unfortunately, have all since passed away. Andy Gibb in a tragic self-sabotaging fashion with a drug addiction and an overdose. The other two had health problems, major health issues, passed away. Barry Gibb going to be honored with that thing in New York that they do. What is that, the presidential seal or something? And well deserved. I mean, they wrote like thousands of songs, and they wrote songs for other people that were very successful. Tremendous career. If you ever get this chance to see that documentary they did on the Bee Gees, it's excellent. But unfortunately, stuck in my head is how deep is your love? And my love is very deep right now for one Mike Lubie Lubitz, also known as in the trade when it comes to NBA material, off-season deals, all kinds of transactions, and especially the NBA draft, is Lubie Brown. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. You hit it, man. You mentioned a guy that the Heat actually drafted when dangling out there, one of your favorite scenarios is a guy who somehow his stock had mysteriously dropped as Cam Whitmore out of Villanova was projected by many in mock drafts to go as high as number 4. Number 4. Going to be Moses Malone. Fo. And I'm watching the draft, and okay, I'm thinking, well, we could have laid the 10,000 to win 100 on Wembanyama, being number 1. We could have laid the 550 to win 100 on Brandon Miller to be number 2. We could have laid the 300 to win 100. I think it might have been 450 to win 100. That Scoot Henderson was going to be number 3. And then after that, you're figuring, okay, they're going to take Cam Whitmore, Villanova. And then dropping. And Bill is just saying, I can't believe this. I don't know what's going on here. JJ Redick is speculating. And I have to say, I deferred to the ESPN coverage this time because they threw Stephen A. Smith in as a draft analyst on ABC. My God. I'm not one to be like a big detractor of Stephen A. Smith because I get what he's done. And the fact that it worked, I guess, emboldened him to exaggerate it to the point where I mean, what else can this guy do? Every time he comes on, just absolutely screaming like a maniac. You have no idea what he's talking about. And I think even though he seemed to be a very well informed and as kind of a gentleman, the one time I actually talked to him at one of those radio rows, I mean, has it just become well, like Dick Vitale? They said this about him, although I still enjoyed Vitale, that you become a caricature of yourself. Has he just become a caricature of himself? Does he feel compelled, like he can never just say something, Libby? You know what I mean? Where you go, okay, I think that's a pretty good choice there. This guy can go to his left, he can go to his right, he can dribble, he can balance a ball on his nose. I mean, what are we finding out in these situations? Nothing, essentially, because we don't know anything. We don't know if Wembanyama is going to be the second coming of LeBron James. Do we know that for a fact?
Oh no, I mean LeBron James. No, that have the exact career LeBron had. No, that's true.
This generational talent, he could turn out to be, an above average player. He could turn out to be a very good player. He could turn out to be great. He could turn out to be somewhat suspect.
He could get hurt all the time. Look, Zion Williamson's the closest to generational talent we've had between the two of them, and injuries are going to feel. It seems like injuries are going to derail his career. And 7-3 and above injuries have derailed every single player's career outside of Manute Bol, who was average. So his career was derailed just because of his talent level. So yes, there's nothing guaranteed, especially with a guy that size.
It's like holy Mel counts. They were one of the original 7-footers in the league. They were playing for the Boston Celtics, but it was considered to be a very soft and somewhat of a stiff, although he could shoot from the outside. He was the original Porzingis who ended up with the Wizards, and is another guy that you would have to say was somewhat underwhelming, considering all of the hype that was surrounding him and the fact that Phil Jackson invested an awful lot of his reputation in Kristaps Porzingis, who really didn't light it up with the Knicks, didn't light it up in Dallas. Was okay. I mean, shows flashes, but is he brilliant? Is he enough to make you forget about all of the greats that have come before him? I think not. So we don't know any of this. And there's Stephen A. I mean, I prefer Lubie Brown. You would have been better on this analysis because at least you had, like, deep in the draft, a pick, a selection that a lot of people were thinking, okay, that's possible, but probably not going to happen. Jaime Jaquez goes to the Miami Heat. This was after the Cam Whitmore dropping. I mean, he was like any of these guys, like Aaron Rodgers or any of the people that you watch in the draft, Warren Sapp, and you're, getting the speculation after every pick. Billis is saying, yeah, Cam Whitmore is the best guy available. And then the other three people are like, well, yeah, I really don't understand why he hasn't been chosen yet. So now you get to the pick, number 18, and what were you thinking, Luby? Did you think the Heat were going to say, wait a minute, wow, what a miracle, man. This number 4 guy dropped into our lap here at 18. Why don't we take him? And they stuck to their guns, or else they were looking at this show yesterday and realized that Luby was onto something with Jaime Jaquez, who I like as a player. I think he's very good.
My only
Heat
my
culture.
problem
Heat
is
culture. I think he fits Heat culture.
I didn't realize he was 22, so he screams Heat guy.
He's a senior, yeah.
He screamed again, a guy that's not high ceiling, but has played a lot of basketball, at a high level, plays both ends of the floor, seems to be team guy, had a lot of success. They got to Sweet 16s. They got, they went far into the tournament. They beat some good teams in a good conference, and he was a player of the like all the things, and had been there for years. And the kind of guy that feels like he'll transition to playing at a solid level for a good team, which is what the Heat seem to excel at when it comes to drafting or undrafting, which with the guys that they've had succeed the last 2-3 years. And then I talked to the professor, and Ken, who knows college basketball. The only other guy that knows it better to me is Blake, and Blake and Ken go toe to toe when it comes to college basketball. Ken's issue with Jaquez was he plays more like a power forward in college, and at 6'6", what position will he play? Now we've seen guys, Paul Pierce, plenty of guys be quote unquote bigs in college, but have ball skills, have good footwork, have an okay 3-point percentage, shoot really well at the free throw line, so they could then extend their game out in the pros, especially nowadays. So at 6'6", why couldn't he become a small forward in the pros? But as of now, at his size, what will he be in the pros? So that is a question. But when you watch the way he plays, he just feels heat. Like he screams, God,
he hustles.
Fucking heat. He plays hard. Like he goes and gets blocked shots. He goes and gets steals. He goes and picks guys up when his teammates fall. On offense, he makes that extra pass. He makes the extra move to get a layup, gets the and-1.
And he doesn't let up. He goes hard all the time.
Now, the thing is, I fall in love with the guy who falls. But I keep reminding myself the Heat don't do well with that. Every time they draft a guy who falls,
well, justice
he fell. It's not
justice was served, and he was served notice that this was a giant mistake.
So I was like, shoot, I want them to get Whitmore so bad here. But I'm like, I feel like if they draft Whitmore, we'll never hear that guy's name again. And they didn't. I was like, okay, good for them. It's like they always.
Well, what happened with that kid? I mean, do we know? I mean, the story went that he wasn't great, when it came to the interviewing process, which I don't know, how overwhelmingly significant it is. It seems like these basketball players are more well composed, even at a young age, in terms of their ability to possibly interview well and come across well. A lot of them seem to be extremely well-grounded, these young kids, including Zemanyama, which is why you think he can have some success. Jaime Jaquez is all in that. I saw an interview with him the other night on ESPN, one of the late-night sports centers. And, well-grounded kid, seems to know exactly who he is, and what he wants to be. As you say, I mean, if you were going to find somebody that was, if the Heat culture, I don't want to compare it to something as evil as Jonestown, but if it was one of those deals where Riley's at the top and everybody's a follower, even though they're following him down a much better path than, say, the people that went and drank the Kool-Aid with Jim Jones. But he's drinking the mental Kool-Aid there for the Miami Heat. Fits the scenario like a glove. So let's hope they have some success with this guy, because I really wasn't expecting too much out of the Miami Heat in this year's draft. All the speculation was that it was a very deep draft. I would imagine you'll probably find players even in the second round, which we had a couple of guys go in the second round, as Jordan Wong, also Isaiah Wong. What am I talking about? Jordan Miller and Isaiah Wong both went in the second round. Miller 48 to the Clippers, Wong 55 to the Indiana Pacers. So congratulations to those two guys. We hope that they make it. A couple of other things real quickly here because we got to run. LSU, a classic. Did you see this guy, Skeens? Did you watch any of this college baseball
No,
game
no.
last night? Wow.
Yeah.
Guy went out there, put on a hell of a show. He was matched pitch for pitch virtually by Rhett Lauder of Wake Forest, who also figures to be a first-round draft pick in the Major League Baseball free agent draft. They stage a wild pitchers duo with Skeens going 8 scoreless, Lauder 7. The game goes to the 11th inning where a kid named Tommy White has been real good for LSU, third baseman. Hits a walk-off 2-run home run, and now that sets the stage for LSU and the Florida Gators to go best of 3 beginning Friday for the College Baseball World Series Championship. Florida's 3-0 in the tournament, had a much easier path, and you see how it works. We were speculating about, well, geez, everybody's always imperiled by the idea, if you fall into the loser's bracket, you're fucked.
Mm.
But it does mess up your pitching rotation because now you had to go with Skeens in this game coming out of the loser's bracket for LSU. And I don't know what his availability will be for any of the 3 games possibly being played against the Florida Gators. Maybe Monday, since he pitched on a Thursday night? But there's your ace, and you've used him up, and you don't get to use him in the championship round. They have expanded that to 2 out of 3, so you're in there with a little bit of a better shot. I don't remember exactly when that change took place. I want to say, what was it, like 10, 15 years ago, where they went from a 1-game playoff for the championship and made it best of 3 with the 2 teams that qualified, 1 out of the winners, 1 out of the losers bracket. But that was great stuff last night. Real dramatic, real interesting ball game all the way through. And the Marlins, I gave up on the Marlins. There was almost too much to engage yourself with last night. I'm not one of those guys that's going to watch separate TVs. I don't even know how to figure out how to put on my picture-in-picture if I even have it available to me.
Yeah.
I'm not holding 2 cell phones up as I'm watching TV, so I'm flipping back and forth. And I have pretty good luck at sort of landing on the action, whatever is the most important thing. I wanted to catch the Heat's actual draft pick. I wanted to see Wembanyama for some reason confirmed as the number 1. No, I did not put 10,000 on it. And I wanted to watch the College Baseball World Series, and the Marlins game was on at the same time. So I'm flipping, and I see the Marlins are down to the stinking Pirates, who had lost 9 in a row, 4-1. They had wasted completely, or so it seemed, a wonderful start, his best of the season by Braxton Garrett, who goes 7, 3-hit ball, 1 run, and doesn't walk anybody. Strikes out 13 in 7 innings. This kid's really, shown a lot of promise during various portions of the season so far. The Marlins had lost 2 in a row since we jumped on the bandwagon. We're about to drop their 3rd, and I was disgusted, to be honest with you. I was thinking, we screwed the Marlins season up. You and me, Lubie. The minute we got into it, the minute we stopped paying attention to hockey and basketball, zeroed in on the Marlins. Oh, isn't this wonderful? Wow, we have a team. Kim Eng should be the executive of the year. This Schumacher, he's really making a difference. We love Donnie Mattingly, but you know what? Let's be honest about it. This guy's getting better results. The second we said all of that stuff, boom, they start losing. They're like a brick. I don't want to say fall into the bottom of the ocean because that's a bad illusion. And I am, as much sarcasm and, cynicism as I like to infuse into my conversations, I can't get into making jokes about these poor guys in the submersible that they found shattered to bits there at the bottom of the ocean, caving into the pressure and imploding, which I don't know. I mean, is there a good way to die? You wouldn't want to be tormented and tortured for like hours on end knowing that you're taking your last breath, would you, Lubie? Wouldn't it be better to just have it go quickly? I would think.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, especially with asphyxiation and all that crap.
Oh my God!
I'd rather just go in an instant than sit there and watching your life fade away. No. I mean, for those idiots, that's the best way they could have gone.
Oh, what a tragedy! It's sad, but really, when you think about it, a 19-year-old kid. So many other guys have been around. At least they had a chance to live some life.
When they made the choice, this fucking kid just wanted to be a good son to his stupid ass dad.
I mean, it would sound exciting, right? People have been down there before with this same vehicle, same vessel.
Every time they've had issues. The one time they had to totally dump out. The other time they got lost for 2 hours. Like this thing has never gone. It was a total disaster from day one. Like literally done. Like dumb.
All right. Anyway, it ended up tragically. But I'm not a big fan of making jokes of it. Let's put it that way.
They died. It's sad.
And people do adventurous things And all the illusions were somewhat appropriate. Yeah, people climb Mount Everest. They end up
Plenty of
passing.
risky stuff. Yep.
Yeah, people do risky stuff. They dive off of cliffs. They do that wing diving, right? All of that adventure stuff you used to see. HBO Real Sports was big with that, right? Where John Frankel was always doing those kind of stories where, they found some nutbag that was willing to jump off a mountaintop, but with those, man-made wings.
Yep.
And then he found out they didn't work.
Yeah,
You're
it's
like,
stupid. I mean, that's dumb. 100%.
end of the piece, right? Let's see if Bernard Goldberg's got something. Thank you, John. That was great. All of a sudden, I'm Brian Gumble. So that was great. I mean, the Marlins ended up coming back with a 5-run eighth inning last night, and they win. So that threw Pittsburgh into a 10-game losing streak. They have them again tonight. Again, another team that is on its hands and knees like a masked wrestler in front of the Marlins, begging for mercy. And the Marlins got back on track with a dramatic comeback win. Braves, unfortunately, have won 8 straight now. They never lose. It's amazing. They never lose. Was it worth it? I mean, 2 teams, right? Houston and Atlanta, the 2 teams in history that tanked and actually made it all the way back. In Indianapolis, remember when they sucked for luck?
Oh,
They
yeah.
they never really. I mean, they got decent, but they never really accomplished what the whole tanking theory was all about, which is that you're going to be we'll be good for years after this. Okay, yeah, sure, stick it up your ass with that theory. Get me some players now. That's what we want. All right, we got to run. It was great. Wembanyama, number 1. We'll see. Is he going to be? You say what?
I think great.
Going to be great.
I think he's going to be great.
Okay, all right. I hope he's great because he
I think he'll be
seems
great.
like a kind of guy that would be really easy to root for, and he's such a freak at 7'5".
They have to figure out how to make him strong. That's it. They got to figure out how to break the streak and why that.
So that when Draymond Green hits him with a karate chop in the chest, he's able to stand up and go, "Hey, listen, Draymond, I'm not Jordan Poole." And that was the other thing, a mystery trade with the Chris Paul trade for Jordan Poole. Wow, and
Poole
other considerations.
Poole sucked this year. It's so funny what one year can do. There, all the Heat's young guys that no one gave a shit about all woke up this year, and the Warriors young guys that people thought could make them a dynasty all sucked. Literally, Wiseman got traded. Kuminga went backwards. Moody guy wasn't even I don't even know if he's in the rotation. And Jordan Poole went from being a burgeoning all-star to a guy that had a huge contract and sucked. Like he was bad.
He never recovered from that one shot to the chin.
Shit, yeah.
All right, we have to run. Thanks so much for tuning in all this week to Defo on 5. Hope you guys enjoyed the shows. We'll do it again right here on 5 Reasons Sports Network on Monday. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest, and that's today's edition, Draft Edition, special Lubie Brown edition of Defo on 5.